Okay, so here I'm really just go ahead and creating a log file so that I can keep track of everything, As you're going through, you always want to keep track of where you are, not only for yourself, but so, the customer can follow along and see what you've done. Um, After I create the file, you see I'm going in and I'm checking the system files. Now what that's going to do, you bring up a command line in admin, and you type in sfc /scan now, and it'll scan the system and check all of the system files, the Windows system files, to make sure they're all on their correct versions and that there's no errors or anything like that. You can see that I'm updating my tool set. That's called the Tech Tool Store, and it's actually a really, really cool little program. There's a free version and a paid version. Um, and you can even add in your own tools and stuff to it. It's super handy. Anytime I'm doing a remote access virus removal, I use this. You can see it's going through an update in some of my tools and stuff. Um, I'm going to have it run through, and it takes some time because I have to go through and download each one of the tools. So let's skip ahead here. Okay, we skipped ahead some. You can see that the global process is almost through here in just a second. Um, well, I went ahead and canceled it. That's right. That's right. I'm doing a voiceover here, so if I kind of skip along, bear with me. I went ahead and canceled because I didn't want to go through and download, every single tool. I didn't need every single tool because I'm not running through all of the virus removals. I'm just showing you the overall deal, because if I were to go through and run every single scan, this could take anywhere from 16-20 hours. So I'm not running every virus scan, so every tool, but I am going to show you the overall process of doing a virus removal and system repair. Now this is a generic, this isn't just, you can't just do this to every single one, depending on what the issue is, but it's a great starting point, and it'll show a lot of what to do. You can see there that the system file scan is still running. Yeah, every repair job has its own little set of issues you've got to run through. I checked to see, I thought I had Speedfan already installed, and I didn't, so you see me installing it right there. And Speedfan's awesome. Not only can you use Speedfan to check your temperatures of their system, which is what I'm about to show you here in just one moment, but you can also use it to check the smart status of your hard drive. When you first start it, it has to run through and check all the sensors in your system. It throws up a little tip, and then it gives you, everything's in Celsius, and I have no idea. Call me the dumb American, but um, you always have to go through and configure, go to options, and set it to Fahrenheit so that I can actually understand what I'm looking at. Now my temps are a little bit higher than I'd like there, but I remember that I have my folding at home program running in the background, so I have to pause that, and it really jacks up that CPU usage, especially since the system I'm running isn't very just high end. It's a pretty low end system. So you can see right there, I had already disabled it. So you see I hit pause. I unpaused it. Here in just a second, I'm going to unpause it anyway. And you'll see that CPU usage and that memory start to spike here in just a second. You see that CPU usage is spiking. And folding at home, what that is, just a quick tad on that. That it's kind of like mining for bitcoins, except for your folding. Uh, I can't explain it. The website explains it better, but it's through Stanford. You're helping to support research for fighting cancer and lots of other different diseases it goes through, and helps crunch numbers to solve equations to help them. That's the best I can explain it right now, but it's an awesome cause, and it just offers your computers free downtime processing power to help support that. You can see right there that I put in parentheses in the log file while folding, because I paused that so it would go down. Now there's the smart settings for Speedfan, and it has this awesome little deal right there that lets you get a in-depth look at it, and you'll see what that does here in just a second. It has to take a second to analyze it, and then it'll bring up my browser, which has a billion and one tabs open. It's a really, really cool feature. I didn't know that Speedfan had this until about a year or so ago. But as you can see, it'll go through and it'll explain what it does and everything. And then it'll show you all the different little attributes and all the little settings there. And as you scroll further and further down, you'll start seeing the overall fitness, overall performance, how much that's dropped since you've had it, things like that. And that's just so cool to me. I love that plain, simple little readout right there that you can use to show to someone, like, hey, see your fitness level, your performance level. Your hard drive is still checking good, still testing good, nothing is stripped yet, but the performance of it has dropped. You know, it's a nice little thing to be able to show someone. You can see that even the hard drive temp was high too. Let's see. Always keep your log as you go. That way you know what you've done, you know what's going on. It's just really handy. Deleting the file since I've already installed it. Now I always download the Seagate Tool and the Western Digital Tool, and I do that just in case the system happens to have a Seagate drive. But the Western Digital Diag actually states on their site that the Western Digital Diag can run on any hard drive. It will test any hard drive. And you can see right there where it says that the smart status passed. And I tend to always go through here and just run the quick test. The long test is nice if you actually have the system in your home, in which case I would actually suggest that you boot from a flash drive or boot from a disk or something and run the diag versus doing it in Windows. But typically most of my gigs are remote access jobs, and so being able to have this utility from a highly respected manufacturer, and I know you guys are like going to start this big war, Western Digital versus Seagate, but regardless of that, Western Digital is still a very high profile name, and it is very nice to be able to run a Windows-based program that can test hard drives. It's just very convenient, and it does add a level of professionalism to what you're doing. But and sorry if y'all can hear that in the background, there's somebody with a crotch rocket going down the road out there from the sounds of it. Like I said, I just tend to run the quick test to show if it has any immediate signs of failure. The extended test is nice too if you do have the time. Okay, so we've skipped ahead till the finish. You can see the little check mark showing that it's done. When it finishes like that, all you have to do is go down there to view results, and now you can see that right there. You can actually right click on that and print it. I tend to do a screenshot of it, either that or I'll right click print and I'll save it as a PDF or an XPS file on the computer. Then I'll go through and I'll start deleting the tool that I've already used. And I'll delete the Seagate tool since I didn't actually use it. Alright, now this tool is awesome as well. Crystal Disk Info. It'll do an immediate read of the smart status and tell you whether or not the drive has any sort of a warning or failing. It'll say good, it'll say warning, or it'll say good, it'll say caution, and it's really nice. And it has the easy power on count and stuff down there. It shows you how many hours that the hard drive actually has been powered on for. So now that I've ran all those different little hard drive tests, I'll start logging it in the notes. The hard drive that's in this laptop I actually used to use for storage, so it's no surprise to me that it was an older drive, but I am actually surprised that it still performs as well as it does, though. And like I said, when it comes to virus scans and any of that, I'm not going to actually run them all the way through. It would just take way too long. Alright, you can see our file scan just hit 100%, and it shows that did not find any integrity violations, so that's great. It means all of our Windows system files in the folder are all good. It means that none of them have been messed with, so that's fantastic. Somebody is really having fun out there on that little crotch rocket tonight. And for those of you who don't know what a crotch rocket is, it's those little Speedbox, those little motorbikes. Cannot stand them. Alright, now this is Kaspersky's TDS Killer. It's a great little rootkit scanner. You're going to see me go to change parameters, and I'm going to select those two right there. If you select the loaded modules, it'll actually have you restart the computer, which again is fine, but I tend just to select those first two down there and let it scan, because it's a real quick scan, but it's really handy because it's quick and it does catch some rootkits from time to time, so it is a good program. I don't expect to find anything on the system because it's I scan it. I do a general clean once a week. I won't run all of the scanners that I use, but once a week I will pick a random scanner that I'll use, and I'll run it overnight. Helps keep me from having to do it all at once. Kaspersky also has a virus scanner that will go through and scan as well, which is very nice. Okay, so that's done scanning. And now I'm going to go open this up, because a lot of times when you're scanning a lot, you'll find a bunch of infections, and they'll all pop up saying cookies. And while some cookies are actually malicious, and programs that clean out temp files will not remove them, but they will remove some of them sometimes. Um, but you'll see that a lot of times people say, oh, that's just cookies, that's not infections. Sometimes they are, and that's just the truth of it. Um, but CCleaner will help clean out all those temp files, junk files from all your applications, your browsers, all that type of stuff. It just removes a whole mess load of stuff. Um, and then you can also go through and clear out the registry, which isn't something that you want to do as often as you clean out your temp files. But the registry, that for me, I do it fairly often, but because from my standpoint, I install and uninstall a ton of software because I'm constantly checking stuff out. And while I could try to do it in a VM, a virtual machine, this computer just is not strong enough to run a virtual machine as well as I would like. It's choppy and skips, and it's just really awful. So I tend to just install it and uninstall it and wipe the traces and move on. Of course, you could use a program like Geek Uninstaller or Wise Uninstaller or any of those types of programs that go through and delete the registry keys and all that sort of stuff as you uninstall it. Um, but I don't. I just tend to run this, and because I use it on customers' computers too. Now, always check your startup to see if you've got anything malicious in there. Always check your scheduled task, because sometimes in your scheduled task will be a trigger to start an application or start a piece of malware up to do something. So always check those two things. And there's other ways to check that besides just CCleaner. Now I already have Super Anti-Spyware and Malwarebytes installed. You can see me going through and go ahead and start this. Now this is the only scanner that I actually, besides the TDS killer, that I go through and show you how to start to run. Like I said, if I were to go through and try running all of them, there'd be just way too many to go through, and this video would be like 16 to 20 hours. But since I did bring this one up, I will touch on a couple of things. Whenever you start up a scanner, always make sure that it's up to date. If you've just freshly downloaded it, chances are it's going to be up to date, not much to worry about. But if you have it installed, always check for updates. And even if you did just freshly download it and install it, still check for updates, because nothing's worse than sitting there and running a scan for an hour or two, or in the case of ESET, running a scan for sometimes up to 4 hours, and then you realize that you didn't update it and the updates are ancient. But you can see here I'm going through and selecting a few things: delete temp files, enable boost, high boost, scan inside zip files, all those type of things where programs or malicious things hide. You always want to do that. So we're going to skip ahead here. Okay, so we skipped ahead past that one scan. You can see I wrote down scan 1, X infections removed. I work my way down the list as I do that. Now I'm going to get into what I do after I run all the scans. This is what I will typically do. Now, like I said, you can't go by this just by a step-by-step thing to do every single time. But okay, I'll get back here. This program called Speedbox, it goes through and optimizes Chrome, Firefox, and I believe it will do it the same to Opera. But it goes through and basically compresses the files, cleans out some junk, and it really, amazingly enough, makes Chrome a lot quicker. I was really shocked by that. But and I got a few installers and stuff there that that I won't be using, like 7-zip, because I already have 7-zip installed. Um, but this is just a good overview of some things that you can do. Like I said, it's not just a step-by-step thing. You shouldn't. Every computer is going to have its own little issues, its own little quirks. A lot of it's going to be the same. I'm not saying that, but just, watch what you're doing. This is an awesome program, Patch My PC. It will go through, and any of the programs that are in its database, it checks to see what is there and what's up to date, and all you have to do is hit Perform Update, and it will automatically go through and start downloading and installing the most up-to-date versions of software that's installed. And you can even run along the side there, as you can see me scrolling down, and select things that you want to install. And a bonus to that, it does not install any of the third-party extras that comes with the software. It automatically unticks all of that and just does a clean install of whatever the program is. So that's very nice. It's kind of like Inite. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Inite. Some of you guys will know what I'm talking about, but except for it, with it, you go through and select what you want to install each time, whereas this actually performs an update of all the stuff that's installed, and it's portable, so it's really handy. You can see right there where it skipped the download section because it already had it downloaded, and it's just running the installer. Now I have Firefox installed because of my wife. She actually wanted Firefox on there because it's what she was using at work and she was used to it. But now I've got her hooked on Chrome. I love Chrome. It has its things from time to time, but it technically is one of the most secure browsers out there. So, and it has lots of little special features that you can activate. So, and it's so fast because of how it works. Each tab that you open up in Chrome, it actually activates a new process, and that's how Chrome does eat up a lot of memory. You can see right there that it's up to date. That it does eat up a lot of memory, but at the same time, because of the way that Google Chrome works, it's so much quicker. Each tab opens up a new process. If you open up Task Manager and watch, each time you open up a new tab, you'll have 1,000,000 Chrome processes up, and that's because of each tab is its own process. I think I said that like 3 or 4 times, so I must be going to summon something. Let's see. What was I running next on here? Tweaking.com. They have a lot of really amazing tools, and this alone will walk you through a lot of repair steps. Everything through scanners, running file checker, backing up the registry, running check disk to check the partition, because we check the hard drive, but checking the partition is different from checking the hard drive. The partition is on the hard drive. That's what Windows is installed on, the C partition. And that can sometimes get out of whack, and you'd open up a command prompt and type in chk dsk /r check disk repair, and it'll restart the system and check for errors. But this tool here, you can see all of the repairs right there, and all I did right there is I ran repair host and repair settings by infections. Because no other issue was on here, and those are 2 safe ones to do, and you can see that it wants to restart. But the awesome thing about that program is that it does not run any off-the-wall thing. It runs a batch file of just the basic stuff that you would type into command prompt to do those repairs yourself. It does nothing off the wall but run the commands that you would have to type in manually. So it's a really amazing program for that. this is another one by Tweakcalm, and it performs all the little system tweaks to help make your system run a bit quicker and a bit more snappy. That's about the only thing I enable that's not enabled. But all you do is hit apply tweaks and it'll restart, and it makes a huge difference, especially in an older system. And I've already applied all those tweaks, so I didn't have to go out there and do that. Alright, now we're gonna update the log here. Save that. Alright, now we're going to go through and check and see if Windows is up to date. You can see me removing OBS and a few things right there where OBS didn't want to work on my system for some reason. It said it has some missing files. But I use Camtasia all the time anyway. I just wanted to experiment with it, but it wouldn't work. I was a bit sad by that. You can see Windows is up to date, and the last time it checked and installed was that day. It's always a pet peeve if I see something down there in the recycle bin, I have to remove it. Alright, we're going to go in and check. Let's see, what are we checking first? Alright, we're going to go in and check the virtual memory first. You see that I've been meaning to do that for a while, and I did it during this video. It had it set to automatically, and I go down and do a custom setting. I was going to set it to 5001 at first, and then I just went ahead and changed it to the system recommended setting. Setting it at 5001 wouldn't have hurt anything, but because used to, the rule of thumb was that to set the virtual memory at double whatever the installed amount of RAM was, but I don't really want to set it that high with this, so I just use the recommended settings for that. Then of course it wants you to restart, but I don't restart it during the video. You can see right there where I've got dual boot set up with Windows 7 and Windows 10. I did that so that I could make some videos, which I have yet to do. Alright, now we're going in and checking the drivers. The only driver that has a red flag up, or yellow flag up I suppose, is a VPN driver for a program that I need to get rid of, because it does not work very well. I've been testing several out, including one on the phone called Turbo VPN, which I've got to do a little video on that I've been meaning to do. When you've got 4 kids, it's hard to find quiet time to do a video. You can see the time date down there in the corner, but when I'm doing the voiceover for this right now, it's actually 2:35 in the morning. Defragmenter, that's an awesome tool by Puriform, the same people who make CCleaner. It's really cool because if you go over to health, you can actually see the temperature and status of your hard drive. because it checks the smart data as well. So it's an awesome tool just for keeping up with the temperature and health of your hard drive, as well as keeping it defragged, which is awesome. Now I end up canceling this because I do not have more than 10% of free space, and to do a decent defrag on a drive, you need at least 10% free space on the drive. I've got way too much stuff on here, and all my drives are full, and I can't do a backup because my flipping hard drive dock blew a capacitor on me, which is amazing considering I only had it for about 2 months. I've still got to send it back to get a replacement. Fortunately, I still have an older one. But I can't back anything up using my 4 terabyte because the old one doesn't support 4 terabyte, which is why I had to buy a new one. But back to the video. If I'm not mistaken, right there in the video I was checking just to make sure and to show you that I don't have a antivirus installed. Yeah, no antivirus installed. Generally, I just practice safe browsing. I don't click on anything, and the sites I do go on are primarily for looking up new tools to use. I don't, I'm not the average user. I'm not the general user that would get a ton of infections. But I do agree that some basic protection is in order. And it's an older system, so Sophos, Avast, anything like that would really kind of bog it down some, and I'd lose a lot of performance. Sophos actually made my my videos skip because it dragged my older system down. So I put Microsoft Security Essentials on here, and I set up Norton DNS on here, which I show you on here. Which Norton DNS is an amazing thing to do, regardless of what your security is. If you're not using your DNS for any sort of networking type situation or anything like that, and just a home setting or something, I highly recommend setting up Norton DNS. It helps add a layer of protection against infections, and it can be used to block any pornographic material that may pop up. Of course, I'm sure that all of you are just so worried about that. You can see I just googled MSE Windows 7, went straight to Microsoft's website, no third party. Whenever you're looking for software, never go to some random untrusted no-name third party. Always Google it, make sure that where you're getting it from is a legit source. You see I went down to English, and I'm getting the 64-bit version for Windows 7. Because there are websites you can go to, like FileHippo, MajorGeeks.com, places like that, where you can legitimately, try out software, where you can download software from. But a lot of sites are really, 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 really sketchy, and you just don't want to visit a lot of those. So if you're ever curious about a site, you can either use a plugin for your browser that'll help show you how trustworthy the site is, or you can just simply Google the name of the website and type "is it safe?" And usually, Google will spit out some results at you, letting you know whether or not it's safe or not. Basic installer, nothing extra. I always decline to join any testing and things like that, submitting data, anything like that. if I'm not mistaken, Windows Security Essentials will only support Windows 7 up until 2020. It may be 2025, but 2020, if I'm not mistaken, is the end of support for Windows 7. And then 2025 is the extended support, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, Windows 8, Windows 10, they have Windows Defender built in by default, which is really just Security Essentials with a new name and with much better definitions and better coding. Because I actually put a infected file onto Windows 10, and Windows Defender caught it like immediately. So it was a nice little test, actually. I was actually surprised by that. But you can see right there, I've got it installed, Windows Security Essentials. It says it's not up to date, so we're updating it. You see it searching for the update, and then it'll start downloading. And see, like I said, always make sure whatever you download is up to date. Because what's the point in having any sort of protection if it's not up to date? And yes, I am well aware that my internet is not very fast. The hotel that we're staying at does not have very fast internet, but it gets the job done. And if you guys like the backgrounds that you see on my videos, they tend to be just me going to Google, and I'll just Google HD backgrounds, or if you actually go to Microsoft's website, they actually have a whole section for themes that you can download. And while I don't install the theme, I will extract the wallpapers from the themes, and I'll bundle them into a folder and put them on a slideshow. Because I don't like changing the overall theme of Windows. I like keeping the basic Windows 7 theme, but I do like the HD wallpapers you can get from the theme, so extracting them gives me some really nice images to use as backgrounds. Bet a lot of you didn't know that. I bet a lot of you didn't know that you could go to Microsoft's website and get a whole mess load of themes, but now you do. And that's going to be the one big takeaway from this video. I did a whole little video showing just OS repair, just so that I could tell you about themes from Microsoft.com. So close, yet so far. Install, I command you. There we go. PC status protected. The update's finishing processing. Now it's up to date. Shows that it's up to date. It'll give you an option to do a quick scan or a full scan or a custom scan. I close it out. And you can see it down in the system tray showing that we're protected. It's actually a pretty little icon. I know that's like the strangest thing to comment on, but I like the little green Windows Essential icon down there. Alright, so now we're going over to Norton to get the addresses for the DNS servers. we're going to go to configure PC. You can configure your router to do this if you want every device in the place protected from the router. But I'm just doing this for this laptop. You know, you see me, I copied that first address, and we're going to control panel, and once it loads, we're going to network and internet, and then network and sharing. And you'll see your connection come up right there. And you click on your connection, and you click on properties, and then you gotta scroll down to IPv4, not 6, but you're going to 4. And then on the bottom one, you go down there, and I'll click on obtain automatically just to clear it out. And then all you gotta do is right click and you can paste it in there. And then you gotta get the alternate DNS address. Just copy and paste it right in there. And that's all it is. That's how easy it is to set that up. You just hit OK and close it out. Now you've got Norton Connect Safe set up as an extra layer of protection on your system. And I bring Speedfan back up just to check the temperatures, because in the beginning I had my folding at home running from Stanford, their program they have running, anyway, supporting their program. But now I want to rerun it to see how the temperatures have gone down, and they went down. I think it's hard for me to see doing the voiceover, but I think it went down a good 20 or 30 degrees, which is, impressive, from turning that off. But the temperatures are still a little bit higher than I would like. And I don't have any sort of cooling pad running. I don't have any sort of fan, anything like that running underneath the laptop, so that would help. And not to mention, it is an older system, so technically it should be taken apart and new thermal compound put on the heatsink and all that jazz, but I have a hard enough time finding quiet time to do a video, much less the safe space to take apart the laptop and do that. Checking to see if there's anything out of the ordinary around. Always nice to do a little once over of the system. And when you're all done, system is complete. Job done. And from here you can, if it's your own system, whatever, if it's a customer system, I tend to leave log files, screenshots of everything that I did along the way. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more like it, if you want to see something else, let me know in the comments what you would like to see. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that dislike button. I don't care. Just hit something on there. Just don't hit yourself or the computer. And I'll see you next time.